When I was growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer. At least that's what my parents thought I would be good at because I was always refereeing the conversations in our household. And then I watched them build two thriving businesses, and I decided I wanted to be a business owner instead. So it was kind of a natural for me at 16 years old to start my own business. I also was helping my parents in one of their businesses at that time. And by the time I was in my mid 20s, we had grown it to about $10 million in sales in the early 90s. And I thought, honestly, that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. But God knew better. That business ended up falling apart and we lost everything. I was devastated. What am I going to do now? What am I good at? What am I passionate about? And who am I? These were some of the questions that I asked myself to peel back the layers of what other people's expectations and opinions were of me and how I could get to the core of my identity. It was truly eye-opening, and it was one of the most pivotal points in my life. Fast forward, I took all that I learned. I took all that I learned about myself, about business and leadership and human behavior, and I applied it to a new business venture. And for the past 15 plus years, I've been coaching and training entrepreneurs, business leaders around the world, how to play to their strengths, how to live their best life, and how to make a greater impact in the world. Essentially, to help people to live with purpose, passion, and become who God created them to be. Now, somebody asked me once and they said, well, you want to help people, why don't you start a ministry? And to which I said, my business actually is my ministry, and my ministry is my business. Certainly, I've taught classes in church, but I believe that God has called me to the marketplace. And so why the marketplace? For me, I look at it and I say, well, that's where everybody is. You know, people may have differing opinions and belief systems. They may never walk through the door of a church building, but everyone is in the marketplace and everyone is impacted by the marketplace. Whether they work there or whether they purchase from the marketplace, whether it's even a child that they are dependent, their parents work in the marketplace, they certainly are affected. It's really a hub of society. And so that's where I have chosen to pour my heart and pour my experience in. And I do believe that God has meant us to prosper and live abundant lives. And for those of us that own businesses, for those businesses to prosper. The problem is that oftentimes profit has preceded people and purpose. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are very unhappy and unsatisfied, both the business owners and the leaders, but also the people that work for them. And that trickles down. And so studies show actually that over 70% of people are dissatisfied with their jobs. They feel unfulfilled, they feel trapped, they're overworked, they're overwhelmed, they're underpaid, and they're undervalued. And so, as I say, that frustration, that unfulfillment spills over into their other parts of their lives, their families, their communities, their health, even their creativity. It stifles their creativity and their innovation and also impacts their faith. And so what I get to do is I get to the heart of the problem. Yes, we can deal with strategy, we can create strategy, we can create a profitable venture, but really it starts with them. A lack of time, a lack of money, a lack of appreciation is often at the forefront of people's minds. And business owners look at sales, they look at team performance, they look at profitability. But as I said, where it all stems from is a lack of clarity, a lack of confidence, a misappropriation of their priorities. And this leads to lack of peace. Because truly, I believe that as human beings, we are called to purpose. We are called to peace. We want to operate in that space. And oftentimes we get disconnected from ourselves and we lose that inner peace. And much of our lives are actually dictated by other people's expectations, as I alluded to earlier, other people's opinions, limitations. Maybe that's parents, it could be teachers, it could be friends and media are laying their expectations on us. So if we're going to create transformation, not only in business, but also in our own lives and in our own relationships, the first step to transformation is actually awareness. We look at fear, for example. Fear, okay, and a lot of people have fear right now, have anxiety, depression. Fear is usually about something that we don't know. We're unfamiliar. We're in unknown territory. We don't know how to handle something, or we feel that we are in jeopardy. Our protection, our safety is in jeopardy. And then there's scarcity. And of course, scarcity often stems from being stretched beyond our capacity, not being able to meet our basic human needs, believing even that we are limited in our own potential and ability to do what we really want. And a lot of times scarcity comes from focusing on problems rather than solutions. And so what I help people do is get present to that. What are their strengths? Their weaknesses, we need to be aware of those. The obstacles, yes, we need to be aware of those. But what are also the opportunities? What is their passion, their purpose, their desires, their core values? What is important to them? And how are they gaining that importance, and how are they living that out how's that showing up in their priorities in their life? What are their thoughts and emotions? What are their belief systems? What is working and not working in their lives? So we get really deep into these areas because this is the foundation where we can build a business. We can build a culture, a workplace culture that is healthy for everyone and thriving. Also, what's important is to help people become aware of the experiences that they have, and what do they learn from those experiences, and especially the painful experiences. So number one is awareness. Number two is choice. Once we recognize and we become aware of how we think, how we operate, how we behave, how we feel, how that's playing out in our life, and where we are in our life, where we are in our business, where we are even as a leader, how we are with our teams. When we start to gain that awareness, self-awareness, business awareness, relational and societal awareness, then the second step is choice. So now that we have awareness, what choice do we make? So if this is where I am and this is where I want to go, or we, if it's a team, then what am I willing to do, or what are we willing to do to get there? What will be my strategy? Who do I need on my team? Who do we need to work with? Who do we need to collaborate with? And how can I serve my team, if you're the leader, how can I serve my team better so that we can bring out the best in them? What processes do we need to be able to support us in our mission? And what do we need to believe? And beliefs are so important. What do we need to believe in order to align ourselves with our mission and our purpose and our values? So I'm skimming over a lot of this, but this is kind of the basic crux of it. We may not be able to control what happens to us, what happens around us, but we have the ability to choose how we respond. And actually, that is the essence of responsibility. Taking responsibility is about identifying, recognizing that you have the ability to respond. That's why it's responsibility. We have the ability to choose how we respond to things. We have the ability to take responsibility for what we can control, our emotions, our beliefs, our patterns of behavior. Step 3 is action. Awareness, choice, action. Nothing happens without action. But the problem is that most people actually jump into action without actually establishing awareness and making a conscious choice. And so what ends up happening is that they do a lot of busy work. What it leads to actually is reaction. It leads to a feeling of futility, a feeling of frustration. I'm not getting where I want to be, and I don't know why. And so that's why awareness comes first, then choice, and then action. Now, the first action I always recommend people take is actually looking at their words, their focus, and their state. Words create our world. They are the affirmations, the ways that we appreciate others, acknowledge others, the declarations that we make about what we believe to be true. Our words are very powerful. Focus. What do we focus on? Gratitude? Do we focus on what we have? Do we focus on the abundance around us, the opportunities that we have around us, the solutions that are presenting themselves to us, the amazing people that we get to work with? What are we focusing on? Number 3 is state. Now, there are many different kinds of states. There's physical state, there's emotional, mental, and of course, spiritual states. What I'm talking about here is really environment. So when you think about it, it is shifting our state. So what state of being are we operating in? An environment, think about it this way, if you are operating in an environment, if you've created a culture within your team and your business, or you have stepped into another environment, environment is greater than will. And so you ask yourself, okay, well, how can I show up differently? How can I be a catalyst for change, for growth, for improvement within this environment? We are atmosphere shifters. Whether we choose to or not, what we do matters. And with that foundation of identifying what our words are, changing our focus, and changing our state, we can create some pretty amazing things. We can create purpose. We can create impact. We can create transformation, develop cultures that are healthy and thriving. Reality is created by agreement. So the question is, what are you agreeing with? It's time to, I like to say with people that I work with, oftentimes I find that they are in agreement with fear, with scarcity, with frustration, with doubt within themselves. And so I encourage them to break up with fear, break up with scarcity. Say it's enough. I choose to come into agreement with who God says I am. I choose to come into agreement with my God-given purpose and plan for my life. It's time to come into agreement with love and abundance and choose peace. You are beautifully and wonderfully made, God's masterpiece, and you have a unique set of talents, desires, and experiences. And when you know who you are, you will experience an unshakable confidence. Clarity, which comes from awareness, clarity leads to power. Power leads to confidence, and confidence leads to inner peace. When we know who we are, the more inner peace we experience, the greater our outer peace will be, and the greater outer peace that we will foster in the world around us. A peacemaker is someone who is willing to resolve both the outer and the inner turmoil in order to establish peace with others and within themselves. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. That's a beautiful scripture I love. So I encourage you today, number 1, spend some time gaining some clarity through awareness, through self-awareness. Check in with yourself. Some of these questions that I've asked earlier, maybe you go back and you ask yourself those questions. How do you see yourself? How do you perceive others? And what do you believe to be true about the world around you, about God, about the opportunities that are available to you? Number 2 is recognize your responsibility. Who do you choose to be? Despite what's going on around you, who do you choose to be? What legacy do you choose to create? And how do you choose to respond to the life experiences that come your way? Number 3, get into action. What am I saying to myself? We talked about words, focus, and state. What am I saying to myself? What am I focusing on? Where is my attention? And what can I do right now to move forward towards my dream and towards my vision? Building a culture within my business. Maybe you work within a business and you can be a catalyst for growth and improvement, for a culture of generosity within. What can you do? What's the first step to begin that process? In the beginning, I shared how I was a mediator for many intense discussions at home. I'm still connecting and making those having those mediation discussions, if you will. But except right now, it's between businesses and their customers, leaders and their teams, and more so reconciling people back to their purpose and their passion and their highest calling. I get to do that in the marketplace. I get to do that through business. And through business, I get to reach people all around the world because everybody is in the marketplace. The world needs more businesses. They need more leaders in business who will do the inner work of developing self-awareness, leadership skills, choosing wisely, and taking wise action so they can lead well, so they can empower others, and they can build businesses that make a positive impact in the society. It begins with you and me, us choosing to become aware, to make good choices, and to take action. Thank you.